pretty weird stuff going on given the current political environment. The right-wing podcaster Tim Pool actually had a car drive by his house and shoot at his house yesterday. This was actually posted on his social media account. Last night, a vehicle approached our property and opened fire. Nobody was hurt. Our security team is reviewing the incident and will be relaying the report to the appropriate law enforcement. This is the price we pay for speaking out against evil. Usually, I don't typically report on stuff like this. The reason I find it a bit shocking is because of the fact that, of course, there was Charlie Kirk's assassination. There was assassination attempts basically on so many different large assassination threats on so many different large public figures on both the left and the right, by the way. And then seeing this happen as well, could it just be some psycho leftists? Maybe. Could it also be people that are pissed off at him for other reasons that might also be conservatives? Maybe. Currently on social media, Benny Johnson said, "This is terrible, Tim. We are praying for you." General Michael Flynn, "This is the type of madness that occurs in a deeply divided society where the adversaries are seeking to create crisis instead of stopping them from happening in the first place. Glad to hear no one is hurt." Marjorie Taylor Greene stated, "This is terrifying. I'm glad everyone is okay. Everyone must stand together against this type of political violence and intimidation, no matter who it is or who it happens to, whether you like them or not." So it's pretty crazy to see the amount of political violence now towards people with just large platforms. What I did also want to show is that over the past week, especially, there's been this weird feud going on between Tim Pool and Candace Owens as well, which also makes me kind of reflect on that when considering this recent event that just happened and kind of his feud with her. Take a listen to what he recently said about her, and then I'll also show you what she responded to him, because some people are questioning whether this feud has any sort of influence on the person's motive for the shooting. There's really not much information reported yet, though, so take a listen.
I think the idea that Charlie would want her to advocate everyone pull their donations from the organization he built,
yeah, ridiculous.
No one hates Charlie more than Candace Owens. Let me say that very, very clearly. I want to say it straight to the camera for all of her biggest fans, and then she can grab this clip and put it on her show. I do think it's absolutely hilarious that we're a substantially smaller show than hers, but she brought us up anyway. So thanks for saying my name, Candace. No one hated Charlie Kirk more than Candace Owens. She reviles him, she spits on his grave, and she smiles while doing it. Okay, quote over. And I'll say this because
we'll just stop there. I mean, he said this is the thing. I mean, the guy, he said himself he has a smaller podcast. I kind of know how these situations work. Sometimes these people that are just grifting or they just want to get as many views as possible, they'll say really shocking stuff on the camera. He said it himself, "Candace, make sure you clip it and put it on your show." So there's also a little bit of that, of him just obviously wanting to just ride the wave of getting more viewership and just being controversial. Clearly, you could tell that that's the guy's entire motive there. I feel like there's just a lot of that, but let's just see his justification for it regardless.
Charlie spent his life building out these organizations. Candace is doing everything in her power to tear them down. She hates Charlie. She hates what Charlie built, and she wants it to burn. She hates Charlie's family. She hates Charlie's friends. She's accused them of killing him. She's accused his wife of having knowledge of these events. And then she comes out and says, "I never said that." Not in the literal sense, but there's literally no other logical conclusion to what you're saying. So when I look at Colvett and Bowyer and Blake and Erica and the people who work at Turning Point, and I say, maybe they're not handling things properly and they don't know what to do what Charlie was doing. There's fears that Turning Point can't make it without Charlie. All of that is them trying to make Turning Point survive.
And let's just stop there. So clearly he's pretty angry at her, especially the main feud. I think this feud happened really after Charlie Kirk's assassination, and the way Candace has been just like investigating, seeing if there's anything else going on. Regardless, I do want to show you part of Candace's response to that, or at least response to some of his clips, because she did end up clipping it, which people were kind of expecting. I mean, that's exactly what the guy wanted. So,
holy shit, we're going to lose the midterms. We're going to lose the midterms. Then we're going to lose in 2028. And it's because she's a piece of shit. Because instead of saying, guys, let's come together and figure out how to work together, she says the stupidest, retarded crap. And now everybody's running around divided and broken. For what reason? For literally what reason?
because they killed Charlie Kirk in broad daylight, and we don't care about your stupid midterms. We just don't care. Like, they really, this is how they view Charlie Kirk. That's why I say, was anything in his life real? Tim Pool is going off right now because he's like, it's not the time. You guys need to be mules. You need to keep voting in the very corrupt people that are lying to your faces right now about what happened to Charlie Kirk. It is not the time because it is your job to get people into office. This is what I mean when I suggest that nothing in Charlie Kirk's life was real. So he really thinks he's doing something there. And actually what he's doing is proving my point. These people just saw Charlie as a means to an end, okay? As a political horse that they could ride. And so for whatever reason, they got tired riding him. And now they're angry because they also were going to whip the horse, the ghost of Charlie Kirk, and say, we still need you to shore up votes. And it is inconvenient that people who actually cared about Charlie and saw him as a, I don't know, human being, want to know why he was publicly executed in front of us and why we're being lied to about everything. That is why Tim Pool is upset, because midterms, it's going to be my fault, not the fault of the feds for feeding us BS. It's not going to be the fault of Turning Point USA for lying and thinking that they're broader than us and seemingly not caring about the investigation. It's not going to be the fault of, I don't know, maybe actual politicians like Donald Trump, who's a president of the United States, and look us in the face and said,
okay, I'll stop there. So you kind of get the gist. They're just going back and forth there. I don't usually, the reason I'm bringing it up is because of the fact that now we're seeing another attempted shooting. Maybe it was an assassination attempt, a shooting, regardless, at this guy's property. Who's going to be next? You know, the reason I tend to bring up right-wing podcasters more is because I've just noticed, and I've talked about a lot on my channel about how I really try to be a bit more independent. I think I'm more on the center. There's just no the ecosystem for podcasters on the right is much larger than the left. There is none of this going on in the left. There's the Young Turks, and I've Had It podcasts. And I really can't think of other figures on the left. There's Hassan Piker, but he's a Twitch streamer. I don't count that. So anyways, regardless, though, that's why I think there's so much attention on the right. That's why I think this sort of stuff is happening on the right more, because the ecosystem for the information ecosystem on the left seems a lot more scattered, and it's not as professionally built up. We'll see how things unfold moving forward. Hopefully this sort of violence just simply stops. I mean, it's pretty terrifying thinking that if you just grow a large platform and people don't like what you're saying, they're going to go after you. I think also another big contention between Tim Pool and Candace is his support for Israel. He's made some quote unquote criticism of Israel, but he's much more supportive. And a lot of people just think the guy's just straight up bought out. So there's definitely a little bit of that. We'll see how things unfold. Again, if you found this video interesting, make sure to click the subscribe button below and give it a thumbs up as well. And otherwise, I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.